everyone, come back with me, Alfiyana Rosidah, with my IG number T2019-6133. Okay, in this section, I would like to explain about functional theory of translation by Jeremy's book. Okay, for the first is introduction. Functional theory from German into 1970 until 1980 marked move away from linguistic typology of translation toward consideration of culture. Okay, and the next is about text type. According by Katrina Ray's work, functional approach aimed initially at systematizing the assessment of translation. It borrowed from the categorization of the three functions of language by German psychologist and linguistic by Karl Bachler. For the first one is informative or representing object and fact. The second is expressive or expressing sender's attitude. The third is appellative or making an appeal to text receiver. For the next is summarizing according by race about the main characteristic of each text type are the first is informative text type or plain communication of fact. It's like information, knowledge, opinion, and etc. The second is expressive text type or creative composition. The author use an aesthetic dimension of language. The third is operative text type or including the behavioral response. The fourth is audio-medial text or such as film and visual and spoken advertisement which supplement the other three functions with visual, image, music, and etc. Race also give example of what she calls text varieties or text thought. No more commonly known as genres according by race. Also, you can look this diagram. Follow this diagram. A reference work will be the genre which is the most clearly informative type of the text. Like poetry is highly expressive and advertising is type of operative text or trying to persuade someone to buy or do something. Between these posts are positioned a number of hybrid types. Such hybrid types restate that the transmission of the predominant function of the ST is the determining factor by which the TT is judged. Race work is important because it moves translation theory beyond a consideration of lower linguistic level. So, the translation method employed depends on far more than just text type. Okay, for the next is discuss about translatorial action. The translatorial action model proposed by Justa Holz-Manteri. He takes up concept from communication theory and action theory. Her aim, among others, was to provide a model and produce guidelines that can be applied to a wide range of professional translation situations. Interlingual translation is described as a translatorial action from a source text and as a communicative process involving a series of roles and players which are, for the first one is the initiator or the company or individual who needs the translation. The second one is the commissioner, the individual or agency who contact the translator. The third is the ST producer or the individuals within the company who write the ST and who are not necessarily involved in the TT production. The fourth is the TT producer, the translator, and the translation agency or department. For the fifth is the TT user, or the person who used the TT, and then the sixth is the TT receiver or the final recipient of The TT test players each have their own specific primary and secondary goals. Okay, for the next, discuss about scopus theory. Scopus is the Greek word from aim or purpose and was introduced into translation theory in the 1970s by Hans G. Farmer. Scopus theory is a theory in the field of translation studies. Use the main principle of purposeful action that determines the translation strategy. Okay, the top-ranking rule for any translation is the scopus rule, which means that a translation action is determined by its scopus. That is, the end justifies the means by Race and Farmer. For the next, discuss about some of the criticism that have been made by scopus theory. This include the following. The first one is what purports to be a general theory is a fact only valid for non-literary texts. Literary texts are considered either to have no specific purpose and or to be far more complex scientifically. The second is race text type approach, and Vermeer's scopus theory consider different phenomena and cannot be lumped together. For the third is jargon such as translatum does little to further translation theory what workable term already exists. For the fourth is scopus theory does not pay sufficient attention to the linguistic nature of the ST, nor to the reproduction of micro-level feature in the TT. Okay, translation-oriented text analysis. Christian North, Text Analysis in Translation 1988 up to 2005 present a more detailed functional model incorporating elements of text analysis, which examine text organization at or above sentence level. Documentary translation serves as a document of a source culture communication between the author and the ST recipient. An instrumental translation serves as an independent message transmitting instrument in a new communicative action in the target culture, and is intended to fulfill its communicative purpose. Okay, not text analysis in translation is aimed primarily at providing translation students with a model of a ST analysis which is applicable to the dual text type and translation situation. Three aspects of functionalist approach that are of particular use for translator training. That are, the first one is the importance of the translation commission or translation brief. The second is the role of ST analysis. The third is the functional hierarchy of translation problem. In many ways, the synthesized approach brings together strength of the various functional and action theory. The first is the translation commission analysis incorporates host Mantaris work the player operative within the translatorial action. The second is the intended text function pursue Race and Farmer's concept of scopus, but without giving total dominance to the scopus. The third is the ST analysis, influenced by Race work, give due attention to the communicative function and genre feature of the ST type and language, but without the rigidity of other taxonomies or see chapter in our case study. We therefore apply this synthesized model to the translation of a specific ST. Okay, I think that's our about functional theory of translation. Thank you very much for your nice watching and goodbye.